Now, I am a pet person, having a Jack Russell, 2 cats, and running a pet service business. Now, when we were in Australia, we did see dingoes, but I don't really know enough about them, and I feel there is a stereotype of dingoes that possibly isn't true. So, today, we learn more about the king of Australia, the dingoes.
The Australian outback. Making up 81% of mainland Australia, these vast and diverse rangelands are home to a wide variety of spectacular species.
They remind me of something from Jurassic Park, seriously. I would also say the original video is a Canadian, so hopefully we can take what is said as fairly accurate.
Thorny dragons, frilled neck lizards, kangaroos, wedge-tailed eagles. But one species has conquered this massive, challenging ecosystem, along with the rest of the mainland. And it's not even native to Australia. This is Australia's conquering king, the apex predator down under, the dingo.
I think dingoes have got to be one of the most gorgeous, most photographic dog there is. They are just beautiful creatures, aren't they?
Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Animal Logic. Found across mainland Australia, the dingo is a type of canine, likely descended from domesticated wild dogs, but their taxonomy is a mess. They are the largest terrestrial predators in Australia, and I got to meet two.
Yeah. So she just wants to tell you. So come and take a seat on that rock there.
Hello, Blaze. Hello. So here I've got Scorch and Blaze, the alpine dingoes. Both of these dingoes were raised in captivity and are almost as friendly as domestic dogs.
That, I think, is the difference, and I hope that this video isn't isn't misinformation or a similar word, because these dogs, these dingoes, were bred in captivity. They are used to humans. They are used to relying on humans to give them their food, and therefore they will probably have a fairly different behavior than if they were wild, relying on finding food themselves. So I'm really hoping the information is correct later on down the line in this video. But beautiful things, beautiful.
They're incredibly friendly, and their behavior is so similar to the dogs that we know. While they may look like dogs, they do have some big differences. Unlike dogs, they can't bark. They're also unable to digest starch.
Basenjis can't bark either, the African dogs. They can't bark. They sort of yowl. Not a howl, but like a yowl. So are we saying these aren't dogs?
Meaning they couldn't eat kibble. No one is certain if dingoes are wolves, dogs, or their own thing, but the most recent research is pointing to dingoes being their own species, rather than a breed of dog. Being apex predators, dingoes are incredibly important to the health of the ecosystem, even though they're not native species. They've been in Australia for at least 3,500 years. That's the oldest physical evidence of fossils of dingoes, and they've not changed since the time that they've been discovered as fossils.
So if they're not native to Australia, where were they before? They do look like they could be sort of African-based, maybe even Asian-based.
It took dingoes about 100 years to conquer the entire continent, but how they got here in the first place is still a bit of a mystery. Some believe that dingoes were brought here from Malaysia by ancient mariners, while others believe they may have crossed over by themselves, traversing the land bridges that would have formed during low tides. Regardless of how they got to Australia, they play a valuable role in the ecosystem, being the continent's apex predator since the extinction of the thylacine in 1936.
I have never heard of a thylacine. I may be learning about that soon.
Fully grown, dingoes weigh about 15 kilograms, stand around 60 centimeters tall at the shoulder, and measure about 1.2 meters from head to tail. They've evolved to be strong and agile, a necessary combination to catch large kangaroos. But they'll eat anything they can get their jaws around. The fact that they can eat just about anything here is in a lot of ways a boon to the populations of Australia. As apex predators, they are responsible for keeping prey populations in check. Studies have shown that when dingoes are present, the number of large kangaroos decreases, which...
I just want to go back to this shot. Now, my assumption would be that they hunt very similar to wolves and packs of dogs in a pack because of their size. And, if they want to take down... Even kangaroos are dangerous, but if they want to take down big creatures like this, they look like sort of wild hogs, pigs. I'm surprised it's not a pack of dingoes rather than just one individual. That surprised me a little bit because I don't see them as sort of that dangerous against large prey. Yeah, that's surprising.
Are present, the number of large kangaroos decreases, which increases plant life and protects the surviving kangaroos from starvation. Balanced as all things should be. In other words, with fewer dingoes, kangaroos eat all the plants in their environment, which makes them more likely to die of starvation. Another great service that they do for Australia is that they cull invasive species. And Australia's got a lot of issues right now concerning invasive species like cats and rats and all kinds of different rodents. A lot of endemic species are being threatened by these invasive species. So these guys are doing a huge service to all of Australia and its endemic wildlife by reducing numbers of creatures like that. They live in groups of up to 10 individuals, usually with a dominant pair at the helm. Like African wild dogs, when dingoes are hunting large prey, like red kangaroos, they hunt in packs.
They do. That the first image just now was a bit of a one-off. Then that's the thing I think with the dog type species. Wolves and things, is that they have to hunt in packs and they try and circle around and they try and whittle out the weakest, don't they? And yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense that they would do that.
On the hunt, they'll harass and chase the prey until it's exhausted, and then they go for the kill. But their size limits their scope and can only take down prey up to 100 kilograms. Meaning that adult horses, cows, and pigs are off the menu. While their prey may not be huge, they are quite effective, and their numbers allow them to outcompete foxes and take down prey larger than they could solo. These packs make them a problem for farmers, and historically, dingoes have been viewed in a negative light. Since the European settlement of Australia, dingoes have been maligned for killing livestock, including young cattle, sheep, and goats. And so, they started to cull dingoes for the sake of protecting that livestock. In the 1800s, dingoes were considered such a huge problem for agriculture that a massive 5,000-kilometer-long fence was created to protect the agriculturally important Australian southwest.
The issue, I've watched a few videos now on these different invasive species. Technically, dingoes may be classed invasive if they're not natively from Australia. But, the problem you have is animals don't understand a fence. They don't understand agriculture and, the animals they're not meant to eat, if that makes sense, or what humans don't think they should eat. They don't understand that. Why would they? They're just trying to survive. This is the thing with all these creatures. Rabbits, they're mating to survive, to reproduce. That is the meaning of life. There isn't really a meaning of life, but I mean, if you're going to make up one, it's to reproduce your genes, right? And so these animals are doing what they have to survive and to reproduce their genes. It's humans that are putting up the borders. It's not their fault they're killing livestock, of ours. It's such a fine balance. It really, really is.
This fence still exists today, and there have been calls to allow dingoes back over the border to increase biodiversity and help cull the populations of kangaroos and foxes, which run rampant without the dingoes keeping them under control. But pressure from the meat industry means that for the foreseeable future, dingoes won't be crossing the border to hunt any sweet, sweet kangaroo. Often, dingoes mate for life and will have a litter once a year. Both parents are very involved in raising their adorable pups.
They are cute.
By 6 months of age, the pups will have learned everything they need to know about being a dingo, and they'll set off into the world, causing mischief and stealing kisses wherever they go.
Well,
I had a lot of fun getting up close and personal with these dingoes. If you want to see even more of our latest...
let's go back and finish on that. Look at that. That is a gorgeous sight. Now, it's such a fine balance, isn't it, with nature and the food chain. Every creature has its place in the food chain, from the bottom to the top, the predators to the prey, to the vegetation. Dingoes clearly are important to Australia. We know the issues of kangaroos, eating all the vegetation, for example. And it's the problem is, though, as I said, it's dingoes and other creatures, they don't know the difference between what they should have in our opinions and what they shouldn't have in our opinions. They don't know that. So they're always going to cross that boundary of what we want. As dingoes, we've found out about that fence. Dingoes, very similar to normal dogs, hunting in packs, to wolves as well, hunting in packs to take down their prey. It's interesting that they don't take creatures, take animals like cows and horses, because you thought, well, actually, I know they're not huge, but if there's lots of them hunting in a pack, I would have thought they would have been able to take down bigger things. I think the stereotype of dingoes is they are quite aggressive dogs. If they're dogs, quite aggressive, and you don't really want to mess with them. However, what I get from a lot of people, you guys watching, is actually that dingoes, they are friendly enough. They're not necessarily great pets because they don't really do as they're told. They're mischievous. They're stubborn in a sense, but because they haven't been properly domesticated. But it's not that they are inherently bad dogs. They are just wild. That's what it is. If you annoy one, then what do you expect is going to happen? And back to them shouldn't do what we don't want them to do. That's sadly what's going to happen sometimes. We get that even with domesticated dogs, though, don't we? It's fascinating to learn more about dingoes. I'm going to do my best to learn more about other creatures in Australia in a little bit more detail. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully, you may have learned something else as well from this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.